Well, hello again, everyone. Once again, we are not in Ohio today. We are back in Indiana, and today we are going to go visit some of the locations from one of my favorite 90s television shows, Roseanne. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. Now where we're going, I think if you watch this show, you'll definitely recognize it right away. It's not what it was on the show anymore. It's now a pizza parlor. What do you think? Kind of feels like Lanford, Illinois, doesn't it? Even though it's not Lanford, Illinois. Well, here it is. Now it's talk of the town pizza bar. But on Roseanne, this was the Lobo. This was the bar that Dan and Roseanne used to hang out in all the time. And not only that, this was the setting of some of my favorite scenes, like the time that Roseanne went as a man for, I think it was Halloween. And she had a beard and everything. And her and Nancy come in here and somebody starts hitting on Nancy, and Roseanne thinks it's pretty obvious that she's not a man, that she's a woman, even though she's got the garb and everything on. So she starts kind of like talking tough, and next thing you know, like this guy is like trying to pick a fight with her, and Dan has to come in. It's just great. Couldn't believe it. And look, they even have a sign on the side that says the Lobo Lounge. So they're pretty proud of its affiliation, you can tell. Not the same sign, but just thought this was too cool that this actually really existed in the same town as where the house is. So there you go. If you're a Roseanne fan, you've gotten to see the real Lobo Lounge. I decided to come in and order a pizza, and it is called the Lobo Lounge.
Hey, you know
this is what it really looks like inside. And there's an old picture of it. Man, that's a really good pizza. Really good. It's just a good old pizza bar. That was a dang good pizza, I'm gonna tell you. And it was kind of crazy when I went in there. They said, what brings you out here? And I said, you know, just looking up some of the Roseanne filming locations. And they go, how did you know about this? Most of the people that come here on a regular basis don't even know that this was the Lobo from Roseanne. They haven't even put it together. So now we're gonna head off and we're gonna find the church that the Connors would attend mass at every once in a while. It's not too far from here. Now if you look to the right up here with the two steeples, that's where we're headed. And since they always like to show the intersecting street signs, I will too. This is actually really exciting for me because other than Married with Children, from that era, this is probably my favorite show other than that. Well, here it is. The Connors Church. Not too often did we see Dan and Roseanne, Darlene, Becky, and DJ go here, along with Jackie. But occasionally they did go to church for mass. They were Catholic, and this is the church they went to. Now, I know we've all been waiting to see the house. Let's go see the Connor residence. All right, we're getting pretty close. We're in the neighborhood. You feeling it yet? Well, we've made it. The real neighborhood of the Connors. Now this whole show goes back to Roseanne Barr herself. This is a woman who, from the moment she came to LA, got a spot at the Comedy Store, she was on a skyrocket to fame, greatness. She did one set in the main room at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles, and believe it or not, was so good. Not only was she made a paid regular by Mitzi Shore, which is, most people spend years trying to get that. Roseanne got it right away, but she also got a spot on the Carson show. Now this ended up leading her into all kinds of great spots all over town. She was on TV, and she got her own show. Co-created with Matt Williams, who is actually from Evansville. He's the reason that it's set here, why this house, why this area was chosen for Lanford, Illinois. And right there, that yellow house, That's the Connor residence. I can't believe I'm seeing it. This is a show that, I mean, John Goodman, he had done movies before, but nothing propelled him like this did. This was the perfect role for him. Everything about it was perfect. The whole cast is pretty much perfect. They had a great run in the 90s, and honestly, I'll tell you, every season was great until the end, except for, what I mean is, except for the end. I quit watching it the last season that it was on when it was in its regular run, and then a few years ago my girlfriend and I started at episode 1 and started working our way through, and we had the same reaction. We loved it, and then it got to that last season and we were really having trouble making it through episodes. We would go from watching, you know, freaking like 3 or 4 episodes a night to like skipping days because we just didn't enjoy it. Plus, when it ended in a bizarre way. They killed off Dan, nobody liked it, and so the show went down as, you know, being great up until that last season. So 20 years went by, and then in the craze of bringing back things like Full House and different shows like that, they brought Roseanne back. Now, when they brought Roseanne back, it was actually a hit, and the whole storyline's great. They made Roseanne like this, like hardcore Republican. Jackie was a Democrat, and there was this constant bickering. And like Roseanne has said, she said, I had to wait 20 years for life to happen for me to come up with, you know, a great storyline. They came back, and the show was awesome. I loved it. And most of you probably know, you know, when it debuted, it came out with great ratings. It had great ratings the whole first season, and it was renewed. And within days of it being renewed, Roseanne was arguing politics and made a comment on her Twitter that, you know, you just cannot make any comments anymore. And people interpreted them or took them as being racist, even though, you know, she has supported minorities her whole career. Watch Roseanne. There were many black people on Roseanne in those all those first seasons. So it's not like she had a problem with anyone. But what happened was, from her own mouth on the Joe Rogan show, she said, I told the network, let me go on your TV shows, let me go on The Talk, The View, all these shows, and explain what I was saying. Give it context. They refused to do that, and in fact, what they did do is they said, if you are willing to sign off the show, we'll keep the show on the air so that all those people don't lose their jobs, meaning the crew and all the actors and everything. But they didn't want her back. They didn't even want to give her a chance. And as she said, I felt I owed it to the people that worked on the crew to not take away their livelihood. In fact, one of the things she said, she's like, heck, most of those people had already probably spent the money from the next season just knowing that it had been renewed. And so they killed her off. They brought back the show, and it was called The Connors. I didn't watch it, and I never will watch it. I'll never even give it a chance, because I personally, in my heart, hearing Roseanne's explanations and being around comics for the better part of a decade, I think exactly what she said was true. I think she was trying to make a joke. Sometimes jokes land, and sometimes jokes don't land. That's being a comedian. And, you know, unfortunately, her joke included saying Planet of the Apes, and that immediately took it into a racist category that, you know, the networks just didn't feel the show could survive with her being on there. Now, what's crazy is that this house, you would think, gosh, whoever has it probably never let it go because it's the Roseanne house. Well, they didn't film the show here, but these were the exterior shots. But no, this house was owned by the same people up until 2004, and then once like kind of the popularity of the show died down, those people sold the house and only got like $55,000 for it. Now, they say online that since 2004 when it was sold, it's been sold like 6 times, and now it's just a rental property. I would have never guessed that. I mean, an iconic house like this. Like I said, other than Married with Children, this was my favorite show of that time period. So it's like, thinking of this house or the Bundy's house, you know, being a rental that anybody can move into is just crazy to me. But I've always loved this show, and I knew, you know, I was just a few hours away from it in Ohio. I had to come see the Connors house. Well, that's pretty much all the filming locations we can do here in Evansville, Indiana for Roseanne, so we're gonna head back and go see the Joster. Who wants to do that? Me! Yep, call me crazy, but and I'm not an apologist for Roseanne at all. I clearly think she was saying something in one of those, she claims she was on medications that cause you to behave crazy when you mix it with other things. That's not an excuse, but Joe Rogan, during his interview with her, said that he has known friends that took the same pills that Roseanne took and said that they literally woke up in the middle of the night, cooked an entire turkey, ate the turkey, went to bed, and then woke up the next day. They wanted to know who broke into their house and cooked a turkey. So, you know, prescription pills are a crazy business, and even Roseanne said, I've been telling people my entire career that I'm crazy. You know, the fact that now I'm telling them I was also crazy when I did this, I was on medication, you know, that just very unfortunate, because like I said, bringing back the show was so good in that first season that they brought it back. I was dying to see where they would take it in the second season, and when they got rid of her and they didn't even give her a chance or anything, I just said, you know what, I'm gonna choose to not support the Connors TV show. But this is also the Connors house for the new series. So I believe what Roseanne said she was taking was Ambien, and if you read up on reactions that people have had and things people have done on Ambien, it is pretty crazy to think of. Passing through Louisville now. A lot of bridges. Well, after a long 4.5 hour drive, we finally got back to Dayton. We're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. Look who it is. Look who's here to greet me. Hi, Jaw. Come on in, bud. Everybody wanted to see you. Ah, you missed me? Papaw just said every little sound he heard, he'd run to the front door waiting for you. That's my buddy. He hung out with Papaw all day and was waiting up for me. We'll call it a night, John. We'll go to bed. Thank you, Richard J. Cooper and Mary Nixon. Everyone else, thank you all for watching. Have a great night, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.